The solar solutions they are proposing will be utility scale.
Federal government delivers additional 1,000 megawatts of solar power to the national grid.
Hope that the recent agreement between Nigeria, UN, Turkey, Russia, and Ukraine on the export of grains through the Black Sea port of Ukraine will lead to a drop in the price of commodities in the international market.
Nigeria strives to maintain position as number 5 in the World Food Production Index.
With about 7 months to the next general election, there is time for proactive measures.
And more assurances on peaceful, free, and credible 2023 elections. Good evening. Thanks for joining us on NTA Network News. I'm Cyril Stover in Abuja. Hingino John Adams joins from our Lagos studio. And you can follow this news broadcast live on our website, nta.ng/live, and all our social media platforms displayed on the screen. The federal government is collaborating with Sun Africa, a United States-based renewable energy and infrastructure company, towards delivering 1,000 megawatts of solar power generation plants in multiple locations across Nigeria. President Muhammadu Buhari, who received the team, said the rapid integration of solar power into the country's energy mix is a critical pathway towards increasing access to electricity by the underserved as well as unserved communities. State House correspondent Adam Sambo reports.
The Sun Africa's unique offering under the Biden administration's Partnership for Global Infrastructure and Investment Platform is not only to provide utility-scale solar solutions, but also infrastructure that will impact both generation, transmission, and distribution of power across Nigeria. The government-to-government backed initiative between Nigeria and the United States, the project to be financed through the U.S. Exim Bank, is in tandem with the federal government's commitment towards generating 30,000 megawatts of power by 2030, with 30% from renewable sources.
The Biden administration is very keen to engage with Nigeria. It's a giant of Africa. It is a natural ally for the United States under the PGII platform. There's $600 billion available in total. So you can imagine what is available for Nigeria moving forward.
Nigeria needs this. U.S. also was absent from energy markets in Africa for many years. This is no longer the case. We come as partners, not to sell any technology, but to partner with, first of all, Niger Delta Power Holding Corporation, to work hand in hand and create something that is immediately needed for Nigeria.
The solar solutions they are proposing shall be utility scale. This means that it can be integrated to the grid, which will add to our base load. I hope this will result in a more resilient power sector providing energy security.
President Muhammadu Buhari, who appreciated the U.S. consortium for his interest in Nigeria's power sector, restated the commitment of his administration towards improving energy access, creating jobs, and enhancing the nation's industrial concerns.
Government has embarked on several reforms aimed at revitalizing Nigeria's energy sector. Our energy transition plan includes the rapid integration of solar power into our energy mix, aimed at improving Nigeria's energy access to unserved communities across the country.
Some of the reforms include the Power Sector Recovery Program, the Nigeria Electrification Program, aimed at enhancing energy access to remote communities, and the Presidential Power Initiative with Siemens, meant to achieve an end-to-end alignment across the electricity value chain.
Initiatives like these will go a long way in developing local capacities through technology transfer and relieving transmission constraints through the generation and the distribution of electricity in the local distribution companies' franchise area, making offtake easier. I am pleased to note the technology transfer content embedded in this initiative, as well as the employment generation potentials.
The Ministers of Finance and Power, President Buhari said, are under instruction to ensure that the project is realized towards achieving net zero emission by 2050, even as he looks forward to receiving regular updates on significant milestones in respect of the Sun Africa project in Nigeria. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari formally congratulates two of his aides, Sariki Abba, Senior Special Assistant on Household and Domestic Matters, and Ambassador Lawal Kazori, the State Chief of Protocol, having been conferred with the highest civilian national honors of Niger Republic. This was while receiving the awardees, who brought to him the certificates and medals of honor given to them in Niamey during the country's 62nd independence anniversary celebration. The Nigerian leader, who thanked his Niger Republic counterpart, President Bazoum, for the honor done to his aides, described it as emblematic of the long-standing mutual friendship between the two nations and their peoples. He expressed optimism that the fruitful cooperation between the two states will continue to grow in strength. President Buhari also extended felicitations to governors of Jigawa and Zamfara states, as well as businessmen Aliko Dangote and Abdul Samad Rabiu. The governing All Progressives Congress, APC, has confirmed the appointment of Governor Simon Lalong of Plateau State as Director General of the party's Presidential Campaign Council. APC National Chairman Senator Abdullahi Adamu disclosed this while briefing journalists after a closed-door engagement with President Buhari. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo has the report.
The APC National Chairman arrives at the State House alongside the party's presidential candidate Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, his running mate Senator Kashim Shettima, and other critical stakeholders. They are here to brief President Muhammadu Buhari on preparations for the forthcoming nationwide presidential campaigns and get his support for those to be appointed as members of the campaign council. After the engagement held behind closed doors, Senator Abdullahi Adamu confirmed that President Buhari is on the same page with them in respect of the people nominated to sell the APC as well as its presidential candidate and his running mate to Nigerians.
The person who is going to be the DG, the Director General of the APC Presidential Campaign Organization, is Governor Simon Lalong of Plateau State. We have an interim spokesperson of the campaign organization in the person of Honorable Festus Kayamo. Deputy spokesperson will be Barrister Hannatu Musawa.
We are happy with it. That is why you see the leadership cadre. And we are able to confirm to you that we've had the buy-in of Mr. President, the leader of the party.
This party is well structured. I am sure will not disappoint you.
And as expected, newsmen sought the reaction of the national chairman on the concerns being expressed in some quarters regarding the same fate ticket being fielded by the party for the 2023 presidential election.
In the APC, we believe very strongly that no matter what description, no matter what faith you associate with any one of our candidates or any one of our officers, the party, we are first and foremost Nigerians. Just like you have people expressing fears or concerns about a Muslim ticket, there are Christians that welcome it as a positive development in Nigerian politics. They are Nigerians. They are entitled to their opinion. Any APC member who is aggrieved by this will only ask him to be patient or her to be patient and see how we develop. But notwithstanding the expression that we're hearing, we will be working amicable solutions to this sentiment.
Poverty
knows no religion or ethnicity. Insecurity knows no religion or ethnicity. I'm appealing to you to tread the path of moderation and inclusivity and fairness. We have established track record of excellence. Let our opponents show what they have done in their respective states. Let's discuss issues. How to propel this nation to greatness is much more important than playing on the sentiments of Nigerians.
Enjoy yourself.
Electioneering campaigns for the 2023 presidential election begins on the 28th of next month. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
And the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, has appointed Senator Dino Melaye and Daniel Bwala as spokespersons for the upcoming presidential campaign. A statement from the candidate says the two appointments take immediate effect. Melaye is a politician and a member of the 8th Senate who represented Kogi West Senatorial District, while Bwala is a legal practitioner, politician, and public affairs analyst. Deployment of technology has been identified as a crucial step towards mitigating the country's socio-economic and security challenges. To this end, Lydia Sampson reports of the National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure, NASENI, has inaugurated 3 critical committees to fast-track Nigeria-Czech Republic technology transfer.
The sum of 250 million Czech koruna, which is approximately $10.5 million, has been allocated for research by the government of the Czech Republic for collaboration and bridging the technology gap between Nigeria and the advanced countries of the West. The fund is also meant to facilitate Nigeria's transition to a manufacturing economy. The Delta II program is uniquely designed to catalyze technology transfer and mobilize positive interventions and investment among private sectors and relevant stakeholders in Nigeria and Czech Republic for technology advancement. Vice Chairman, Presidential Implementation Committee on Technology Transfer and Information Exchange between Nigeria and Czech Republic, and the Chief Executive of the National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure, Professor Mohammed Sani Haruna, said priority areas of the MOU include biotechnology and pharmaceutical research, agricultural and food technology, plus mining industrial development are part of economic diversification focus of the present administration. With the codename Delta II, the program is the cooperation model of Technology Agency of Czech Republic running from 2020 to 2025.
The unique component of this bilateral relationship is the integration of private sector, so that whichever technology we are prospecting, whichever research we are involved in, there is a private sector or a company that is participating, ready to take the products or the output to the market.
We have the theoretical, knowledge and analysis, but at the implementation stage, it becomes a problem. Now, this is a real opportunity to really make the difference.
In Abuja, Lydia Sampson, NTA News.
And talking agriculture, the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development says it will continue to collaborate with key stakeholders to ensure food security in the country, just as the ministry promises to ensure the country maintains its position as one of the 5 ranked nations in the World Food Production Index. Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development Mohammed Abubakar stated this while speaking on the strides and achievements in the Nigerian agricultural sector. State House correspondent Jide Onifadi reports.
The commitment to developing agriculture by government is not in doubt, as government both at the national and subnational levels see agriculture as antidote to poverty, food insecurity, and unemployment. Featuring at the weekly executive briefing of press at the presidential villa in Abuja on the achievements of the administration, Mahmoud Mohammed Abubakar, Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, says even though there were interruptions as a result of COVID-19, Ukraine-Russia war, and security challenges in some parts of the country, all posing threats to the agricultural sector, the short-term interventions and the long-term plans of the federal government are yielding desired result.
If not because Nigeria is so committed and resilient, the COVID, the insecurity, and now Russia and Ukraine would have dropped us below the belt.
The minister explains further some of the actions being taken to support players in the sector.
The 2081 number of commodity aggregation, cartage, processing centers, and storage facilities that were constructed, the total number of rural roads.
Minister Mahmoud says the country is also getting support from international authorities.
It is my hope that the recent agreement between Nigeria, UN, Turkey, Russia, and Ukraine on the export of grains through the Black Sea port of Ukraine will lead to a drop in the price of commodities in the international market, which will in turn ease the inflationary trend on the price of food in the country.
In the State House, Jide Onifade, NTA News.
Nigeria's current security challenges and emerging threats require the country's military and other relevant stakeholders to be several steps ahead of perpetrators, while also stepping up local production of armament. This was part of the highlights by the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, after receiving a presentation on defense transformation and national security, strategic options for Nigeria of the future by the National Defense College Course 30 participants. At the virtual interaction, the Vice President observed that from the nature of challenges being faced by the country, it is evident that the nation needs to be many steps ahead of non-state actors. I will take a short break here. The news continues shortly. Thanks for staying with us. Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed says Nigeria is open to doing business with all social media platforms as long as they operate within the rules and regulations. The minister stated this when he granted audience to a team from Google. Anthony Fosun reports.
Expressing delight over concerns by Google on responsible use of the social media space, Lai Mohammed called on Google to look into how they can tackle the use of private and unlisted broadcasts by proscribed groups and terrorist organizations, because Google today seems to be the platform of choice.
Please note that some of these channels use local languages and dialects during their broadcast to evade being censored. Your platform, regrettably today, has become the platform of choice for IPOB, a proscribed terrorist group. We implore you not to make your platform available to them for their acts of violence and destabilization. We hope you will cooperate with us as well as our security agencies in this direction.
Nigerians, Lai Mohammed added, are among the most vibrant social media users in the world, but lamented that some platforms are used by groups or persons with nefarious intentions.
With over 100 million internet users in the country. Such internet platforms as Google, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, and WhatsApp enable Nigerians to interact, share ideas, earn a living, and participate in social and political affairs.
Google's Regional Director of Sub-Saharan Africa, Government Affairs and Public Policy, Charles Morito, said Google has introduced a program called Trusted Flaggers for citizens trained to track and engage with online content in a bid to identify harmful contents.
Because we do understand the elements that we cannot catch every single piece of content that's online automatically or using the different algorithms. There's a local nuance that is that's critical. And so with trusted flaggers, we can be able to catch that, and especially the different dialects. And if you can be able to, within your ministry, have some people who can alert us on that, we will take action immediately.
We are committed to the responsible use of our platforms, and I know that that's something that's also very dear to you, Honorable Minister.
The Google team members pledged their readiness to work with the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture to digitize the recently repatriated artifacts in Abuja. Anthony Forson, NTA News.
The 2023 general elections will give eligible Nigerian voters another opportunity to choose their leaders and representatives devoid of godfatherism and other undemocratic interferences. National Security Advisor Major General Babagana Monguno gave the assurance at the Election Security Management Training for security personnel ahead of the elections in Abuja. Francis Form reports.
Critical stakeholders in the electoral process in Nigeria are gathered here, courtesy of the lead agency in election security, the Nigeria Police Force.
The more the environment has security challenges, the more likely that security agencies will be visible in elections. At the end of this workshop, one, there will be a robust interagency collaboration towards effective security governance during the 2023 general election, and in other future joint electoral security operations. With about 7 months to the next general election, there is time for proactive measures to ensure that the entire country is secure for election to hold nationwide. The military is there to give support throughout the entire process and beyond, ensuring that as we support in providing secure environment as part of our operational engagement in internal security, but the conduct of the 2023 general elections will also be there to support the police and other security agencies in that regard.
To ensure the electoral process is peaceful, transparent, and credible. Security actors play a vital role in safeguarding these elections.
The National Security Advisor, Major General Babagana Monguno, is here to tell those that will anchor the 2023 general elections the expectations of Mr. President.
The President has charged the military, the police, the DSS, and all other security agencies to synergize effectively, review the operational strategies, and optimally deploy all their operational assets towards addressing current and evolving internal security threats ahead of the forthcoming general elections.
The 2023 general elections, enhancing national security capacity for a secure and credible electoral process in Nigeria, is the central message of the workshop. Francis from NTA News.
The Burkina Faso military is appealing to Nigeria to scale up its support for the ongoing fight against insecurity affecting some parts of Africa. The Chief of Defense Staff, Burkinabe Armed Forces, Senior Colonel David Kabre, made the appeal while on a working visit to the defense headquarters in Abuja. The visiting Burkina Faso military chief stressed that collaboration among Africans and military will reduce transborder crimes on the continent.
The purpose of this visit is to see in which way we can keep boost and build the military cooperation between Burkina Faso and Nigeria. I believe that our two armies will benefit, especially the Burkina Faso army.
Not only will we share our experiences, we will indeed take action that will ensure that we together address all the issues and ensure that we stamp out every form of terrorism within our sub-region.
Senior Colonel David Cabre is in Nigeria for the 30th anniversary of the National Defense College. Less than 1 year after coming on board, Boa Foods has ended the year 2021 with revenue of more than 333 billion naira. The records inform the company's maiden annual general meeting with its stakeholders in Abuja. Abdullahi Musa Suleja reports.
Boa Food, with the slogan "Leading with Purpose," charted a new path during the year, having successfully merged and structured its different food businesses into one, coming from 5 divisions of sugar, rice, and edible oils. It completed a listing by introduction of its shares on the main board of Nigerian Exchange Limited on the 5th of January 2020 and became the second largest company by market capitalization in the consumer goods sector. Earnings per share was up by 115.1% to 4 naira 24 kobo.
If you're in a business, all you need from the government is for them to provide that environment, enabling environment that is required. And the government is really trying and working very hard. The issue of wheat is a big issue worldwide, not meaning that 65% of the arable land in the world is here in Africa. Yet we import over 80% of what we consume. I'm not trying to blame anybody. I'm just, trying to say this is the time for us to really, wake up and do more.
The board of directors of the company therefore approved a dividend of 3 naira 50 kobo per ordinary share. This feat attained by the company within a short period took the shareholders by surprise.
We are celebrating the good works you have done for us, Mr. Chairman, the Nigerian economy and the capital market.
Ordinarily, we that we came in 2020, we are not supposed to benefit from the dividend. But because of your good heart, you permit us to share from this great gate. We appreciate it. We say thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir, for opening the way for people like us to be your part and parcel.
The maiden AGM coincided with the 62nd birthday of its chairman, Alhaji Abdul Samad Rabiu.
Happy birthday to you. Thank you, President.
Boa Foods is determined to fulfill Africa's food demands by promoting food security and nourishing lives. Abdullahi Musa Suleja, NTA News.
And for Nigeria to succeed and surmount its economic challenges, there's need to quickly reverse balance of trade through massive diversification of export and making the nation's economy competitive in the global arena. Key players in the maritime industry stated this at a one-day sensitization program on the mandate of Nigerian Shippers Council as port economic regulators. From Port Harcourt, Rivers State, Chidiebere Onya reports.
The program, organized by the Nigerian Shippers Council under the auspices of the Federal Ministry of Transportation, critically reviewed the need to ensure efficiency in handling export goods, facilitate trade to attract investors, and grow businesses in the country. Representatives of the Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Transportation, and Executive Secretary, Nigerian Shippers Council, canvassed the imperativeness to develop Nigeria's industrial base to improve trade balance and boost her economy.
Shippers Council, working in contact with several government agencies, develop standard operating procedures, and of course, the Nigerian Port Process Manual, which is being implemented in several ports now, and of course, even at the port corridors.
I therefore wish to reiterate the position of government that the Nigerian Shippers Council is the first economic regulator, and it joins all stakeholders in the maritime industry to give the Council the needed cooperation and support in the execution of this mandate.
Keynote speaker, Professor Bongo Adi, explained that the country must begin to improve its export profile for meaningful progress in foreign exchange earnings for the country.
A society's standard of living depends on what? Productivity, ability to produce goods and services.
Nigerian Shippers Council is vested with the responsibility to create an effective regulatory framework at Nigerian ports for the control of tariffs, charges, and other related economic services. In Port Harcourt, Chidiebere Onya, NTA News.
Families and friends of 5 victims of the train attack who recently regained their freedom have been in a joyful mood on reuniting with their loved ones. Haruna Mohammed reports that the release of the victims has rekindled hope for the freedom of the remaining 34 still in captivity.
This ambience is what paved the atmosphere in residences of victims of train attack who have been freed by their captors. Mukhtar Shoaibu is one of the 5 lucky victims released. While narrating his audio, said survival in kidnappers' den is horrible.
We were beaten by them like twice.
I give glory to God for the release of my son. I and my children, alongside friends, are very, very happy.
I'm very, very happy. I'm very, very happy. I'm here with my family, friends, and well-wishers, celebrating, rejoicing.
Well-wishers continue to troop in to commiserate and rejoice with families of victims who are now amidst their family members.
Bring him here. We are very excited.
While rejoicing over their freedom, Mukhtar and others are calling for prayers and urgent action to secure the release of remaining 34 victims still in captivity. Haruna Mohammed, NTA News.
The Akwa Ibom State High Court in Uyo has convicted and sentenced to death by hanging Uduak Akpan, the murderer of a 26-year-old job seeker in New Bongumoren. The trial judge, Justice Basi Nkanang, discharged and acquitted the 2nd and 3rd defendants. Clement Barikui reports.
The atmosphere around the court premises was tensed with heavy presence of security personnel. In the courtroom, Justice Basi Nkanang, in his judgment, delivered for over 2 hours, held that the first defendant, Uduak Akpan, is guilty of the 2 counts as charged and therefore sentenced him to death by hanging for murder and life imprisonment for rape. The 2nd defendant, who is the father of the convict, and the 3rd defendant, their sister, were discharged and acquitted of the 2 counts preferred against them. Meanwhile, a mild drama ensued in court when the convict attempted to escape shortly after the court pronounced death sentence on him.
May not stop without commending the Nigerian police force and the officers of the DSS for the very diligent investigation that they carried out in this case. They did such great jobs.
It's a landmark case, and we don't need to say much. Justice has been done, and this shows that crime does not pay.
The work of a defense counsel is not to defend at all costs, it's to ensure that all the rules of procedures are followed. That we've done.
26-year-old Inyobong Morin, a graduate of University of Uyo, was lured for a job interview on the outskirts of Uyo by Uduak Akpan, now the convict, in April 2021, who ended up raping and killing the job seeker. With this verdict, the 9-month-old case at the trial court has been put to rest. In Uyo, Clement Barikui, NTA News.
Now time to join Hingino in Lagos for more reports on network news. Hingino.
Thank you, Cyril. Quit illicit drug trade now or lose it all. Chairman and Chief Executive Officer, National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, Brigadier General Buba Marwa, gave the warning to drug barons in Lagos at a public destruction of illicit drugs weighing over 560,000 kilograms. Diana Ajali reports.
This is the 2nd time in the last 2 years that the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency is carrying out massive public destruction of assorted illicit drugs. The exercise was preceded by field testing of the drugs by Director of Forensic and signing of certificates. While supervising the exercise, where a wide range of hard drugs, including powder and liquid cocaine, cannabis, tramadol, benylin and codeine cough syrup were destroyed, Chairman and Chief Executive Officer, National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, Brigadier General Mohammed Buba Marwa, says the agency will continue to evolve new strategies and expand the scope of its operations to rid the society of harmful substances.
I take the opportunity to urge the barons and the cartels that they should come back to their sanity and seek alternative businesses, because at the end of the day, it will end up there.
The NDLEA boss also appealed to members of the society to join hands with the agency in the campaign to achieve a drug-free society. Being the largest seizure in the 32 years history of the anti-narcotic agency, the destruction is sending a strong warning to those who engage in unlawful drug business to desist or fail. From security threat to mental health, there is no doubt that the consequences of drug abuse are visible. And as the fight against tackling the menace of drug abuse continues, the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency believes public destruction of illicit drug will go a long way in changing the narrative in Nigeria. In Lagos, Diana Ajale, NTA News.
In a related development, Nigerians have been advised to support government's effort to rid the country of harmful and substandard products. Area Controller Nigeria Customs Service Apapa Command, Malanta Yusuf, gave the advice while speaking with newsmen on seizure made by the command. Samuel Johnson reports that tramadol and unregistered drugs were among the seizures.
These containers were brought into the country in 2020 under the pretense that they contain cooking appliances. The owners are now at large when it was discovered under surveillance that the actual content was tramadol. Putting the street value at 1.275 billion naira, the Customs Service advised importers to acquaint themselves with relevant laws and regulations, explaining that the successful seizure was the result of the synergy among agencies at the ports. The Customs Area Controller promised airing importers and agents tough time.
Importers try their luck and see whether there's a way they can get out of this system. But unfortunately, we're at alert. Not only the Nigerian Customs Service, every other custom government agencies within the port are at full alert to ensure that illicit importation, not only on drugs, any other illicit importation is completely eradicated within this system.
The fact is that the proper thing has now been done. He has declared it under the same consignment and it is out of circulation. It's no more going into the public domain again.
Also impounded were 2 containers loaded with unregistered drugs labeled omeprazole from India. The Customs Service insisted that without clearance from the regulating agency, NAFDAC, such products would not be allowed into the country as they are dangerous to public health. In Lagos, Samuel Johnson, NTA News.
Do not forget to follow this news broadcast live on our website at nta.ng/live and on our other social media handles displayed on your screen for updates. Time for another break. The news will be back after that.
Back in Abuja, business with Benny Adams.
Questions have been asked about federal government's recent approval of financial support to neighboring Niger Republic, and the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, says the federal government has a policy of assisting its neighbors.
It is important to support your neighbors when you have insecurity. It is also clear that most of the, criminal elements that are within the country are not all Nigerians. And these countries, Niger, Cameroon, and Chad, are our immediate next door neighbors. And over time, we support them in manners like this to enhance their capacity to protect our borders.
And taking a look at the energy market, oil prices rose on Thursday as supply concerns triggered a rebound from multi-month lows plumbed in the previous session. after U.S. data signaled weak fuel demand. Brent crude futures rose 42 cents at $97.20 a barrel this Thursday, while West Texas Intermediate crude futures was up 49 cents at $91.15. Both benchmarks fell to their weakest levels since February in the previous session after U.S. data showed crude and gasoline stockpiles unexpectedly surged last week, and as OPEC Plus agreed to raise its oil output target by 100,000 barrels per day, equal to about 0.1% of global oil demand. It has also increased Nigeria's oil quota to 1.830 million barrels per day in September 2022 from 1.826 million barrels per day in August 2022. And on the capital markets, Nigerian equities continued on the losing side as investors lost more than 7 billion naira. The all-share index depreciated by 0.03 to close transaction at 50,582.30 points from the previous day's high of 50,594.97 basis points. Market capitalization fell to 27.276 trillion naira from 27.283 trillion naira. 130.4 million shares worth 1.622 billion naira exchanged hands in 3,993 deals. ICO, Transnational Corporation, and Access Holdings were the top 3 trades. That is Business News. Network News continues.
Thank you, Benny. President Muhammadu Buhari has urged businessman and philanthropist Abdul Samad Rabiu to carry forward his momentum of investment and charitable deeds as he marks yet another birthday. In a message to the president of Bua Group, President Buhari lauded the efforts of Abdul Samad and other leading citizens in giving the country a good name at home and abroad. President Buhari said he cherished the businessman's compassion and concern for the weakest citizen. The Nigeria Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority has reiterated commitment to abide by the timeline set by the PIA and to further review the 10 regulations through third-party engagements before gazetting it. Lydia Sampson reports that this was at the stakeholders' engagement just ended in Abuja.
Presenters of syndicated groups giving highlights of their engagements and recommendations in the last 4 days. The three syndicate group ran concurrently to analyze the 10 regulations. For the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, it wasn't just for compliance, but it was important that the culture of engagement with partners be sustained.
The feedbacks we got from stakeholders were very rich, very intense. And what is left to us now is to go back, reflect on it, take what is good there. Ultimately, it's to make for the benefit of Nigerians, for the industry, and see how we can grow it.
Various speakers say the organization is moving away from prescriptive regulations to a more engaging one. They are optimistic that the overwhelming response to regulations show they are critical and will contribute to ease of doing business in the mid and downstream of the oil and gas sector. The reviewed regulations include issues around licenses, penalties, naira denominations, timelines, clarity of terms, data requests and confidentiality, as well as gas quality specifications. In Abuja, Lydia Sampson, NTA News.
We'll take another short break. Stay with us. Sports now. Day 7 of the Commonwealth Games in Birmingham saw Team Nigeria book spots in the final of some track and field events and also increase their medal tally on the table. Let's join Daniel Aderiye for more on the Commonwealth Games.
After a disappointing outing on day 6, track and field took centre stage again, with Nigerian track queen Favour Ofili returning back to the tracks after testing negative for COVID-19. Favour took part in the heat of the women's 200 metres event and finished in first place to book a spot in the semi-final. Fellow compatriot Grace Onwokocha, however, failed to replicate the feat as she finished in a lowly 6th place, owing to a false start and what was perceived to be an injury. It was a different case in the women's high jump, as duo of Temitope Adesina and Esther Issa both qualified for the final round of the event. Both Esther and Temitope qualified after clearing a height of 1.81 meters. In table tennis, duo of Tajuddin Agumbiade and Isao Ogunkunle both qualified for the semi-finals of the men's para table tennis in their respective categories. Both Isao and Tajuddin qualified with 3-1 victories. In the mixed doubles, duo of Abiodun Bode and Bello Atinuke had comfortable 3-love victories over familiar rivals Ghana to advance to the next round. In boxing, Ifeanyi Ekwere produced a boxing masterclass as he beat Canadian Marcel Fouadjou on points to qualify for the semi-finals of the men's 92 kg super heavyweight class. This puts him in position for at least a bronze medal. And in a disturbing development, Team Nigeria's duo of Onyechi Gift Mark and Latifat Tijani were both disqualified from competing in the women's lightweight final at the 2022 Commonwealth Games. It was gathered that the athletes were disqualified from competing after failing to turn up early enough at the competition venue for their kids' inspection. However, a reaction via the Ministry of Youth and Sport social media handle says Team Nigeria powerlifters did not arrive late for their event at the Commonwealth Games. The decision to disqualify both para-athletes has since been appealed by Nigeria to the International Paralympic Committee, IPC. But just when it seemed like Team Nigeria would go another day without winning a medal, a silver lining shone in the form of men's powerlifter Innocent Nnamdi, who lifted a total of 190 kg in the men's lightweight event to clinch bronze for Team Nigeria. As at the time of filing this report, Nigeria still maintains 10th position on the medals table with a total of 9 medals.
Mariamo Lami Dimka, elder sister to General Yakubu Gowon, passed away on Wednesday, the 3rd of August. The late Mariamo was wife to the late Commissioner of Police S.K. Dimka. She is survived by children, Elizabeth Rimdams, one-time resident electoral commissioner, Anambra and Bauchi states, Ms. Margaret Dimka and Mr. Philip Dimka, many grandchildren and great-grandchildren. Other surviving relations include Nigeria Airways retired Captain Moses Gowon and Dr. Dauda Gowon. She was a matron in the women's hostel in the now Ahmadu Bello University in the 60s. She was equally an active member and official of many organizations, including the Nigeria Red Cross, Young Women's Christian Association, Bible Translation, and the Bible Society. A former Inspector General of Police, Mustapha Balogun, is dead. Reports reaching us say the former IGP died this night at the age of 75. That concludes Network News tonight. Remember to stay connected with the NTA against rape and rapists. I'm Cyril Stober. Good night.